What's going on YouTube? Scraps here. So today I thought I would go over the whole workflow of working with the Mavic Air. And we're going to go out, we're going to shoot some footage, we're going to come back, we're going to download the footage, we're going to put it into Final Cut Pro, and we're going to make a little video and put it onto YouTube. So let's go! Okay, so here I am on location. We're in Appleton and we're going to try and get some footage, and it's very windy, so I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to get some footage and then go back to the studio, start doing the editing. So I will see you soon. Okay YouTubes, we are back from our flight. Very windy day out there. Did not get as much footage as I wanted to. A little bit scared, it was so super windy. So we're going to go over the workflow from when I come back, importing into Final Cut Pro, going through the editing process and getting ready for YouTube. So the very first thing I do is grab the drone, take out the memory card, which, as you're probably aware by now, is not easy, but you gotta just force those fingers in there. Out pops the memory card. I have a card reader. I'm gonna put this into the card reader. I have Final Cut open, so I'm going to go to the, well, actually it pops up straight, so in Final Cut already pops up. These are the clips. We're going to select all the clips and we're going to make sure that in the transcoding it says create proxy media, so straight away it's going to create the proxy media and we hit import. Now this, the computer here is a 2010 computer, so it is a little bit old, so it does not like 4K video. It does not like playing back 4K video. Definitely doesn't like editing in 4K video, but it is just fine as long as you're using your proxy media. So we're going to let this do its thing now. It's starting to import, and it'll import the media, then it will create the proxy media, and we're not going to touch the computer until it's finished that, and once we've done that, then we should be able to edit with no issues, no lag when we are all set. So we'll let this run and I will see you as soon as this is done. Okay, so while the files are being imported, very next thing we do, get the batteries on charge. I do wish you didn't have to open up the legs to take out the batteries. One of my pet peeves, but we're going to take that out. We have this. I did put, you can't see it here in the video, but I put a little bit of marker on either side because I kept on not knowing how to do this, so this makes it easier. We're going to plug that in. We're going to get the charger. I did the same with the charging cable. I put a little bit of Sharpie on the one side, on this side in fact, so I know it goes facing up. So now those are on charge, we are good to go. Let's wait until the videos import. Okay, so the footage has imported. So the first thing we're going to do now is go to the memory card, and we are going to delete the footage from the memory card and empty the trash, and we are going to eject the card. And as soon as that is being ejected, we are going to take the card and put it back in the drone. So we're ready for the next shot. Okay, so here we are now in Final Cut Pro, and we have imported all our media and we have let it create proxy media of the footage. So we've got 4 clips here, and if we go to view and proxy, there we can still see them, and these are just smaller files that the computer can handle a lot easier. We can scrub through them much faster, and my computer likes it a lot more. So let's get right into this. We'll go through how I create a standard clip. So we're going to start by just making a new project, and we will call this Appleton. That is the name of the village. And we're going to keep it set off based off the first video clips. Hit OK. And now we're just going to import these clips. I'm pressing the letter E to import, and we're just going to put these clips right in. This is something I've been started doing recently, is putting them right into the timeline and start to edit from there. So we'll go right in. All the clips are in. We're going to keep everything on order, and let's go back to the beginning. What I like to do then is put in a black placeholder, and I'm going to change that to about 2 seconds. So that'll just be a little black intro that I'll fade in later for the start of the video. So I always like to start off with the drone taking off. I think that's a pretty good way to start, good place to start. So we're going to look here for when it just takes off, right about there, and we're going to press Option and left bracket to create that as our endpoint. That's a new shortcut I learned the other week, pretty good. And let's run through that. Up it goes, nice and smooth. That's looking good. And as soon as it gets to a stop, we're going to blade that right there, because we know we're going to start moving around there. So we want to cut out all the random. So this is already looking quite good here. So I will be moving this along until it starts moving, till I start moving forward over the water there. So that's about there. Let's have a quick look at that. Go a little bit further. And we're not going to do any kind of transitions right now. We're just trying to get our in and out points of the various clips, then we'll go and work on the transitions a little bit later. So we'll maybe give this clip a little bit more room so that we've got something to transition with there later. This is where I'm working on panning the drone to get some nice footage. This came out okay. This is the left stick I was pushing to the left and the right stick to the right, so they're going in opposite directions to get this nice effect. That looks pretty good, and seeing the car there even looks quite cool as well. I think we'll keep that in for now. And we'll stop it right before there's this little bit of motion right here where it starts going up a little. So we're going to stop it right as it gets about to there. Put a blade mark there so we can start working on this. And then we can just remove where we were going up and tilting the camera down so we don't need to see that in the footage. Let's take a look at that. Nice and smooth. And then we'll be able to transition that in shortly. So I believe this goes right over the church. It's going a little slow at the beginning, so we're probably going to trim that a little. Still not much motion there, so let's move it in even further. There we go, that's better. And the panning down of the camera, that looks good. There we go, and that looks pretty cool with the trees. So that looks good, probably right there, so we're going to stop that. Right here it started becoming uninteresting, so we'll just stop that right here, put a blade. And then let's see what's next. Is any of this? This is nothing here we want, so we're going to get that out. Maybe we can go from looking down. No, that bit doesn't look too good. I think from here I go over the water. Okay, so there's a lot of motion, a lot of movement here in the camera, and so we don't want any of that in the footage, so we're going to start it right where it starts to move. Let's press Option bracket to make that our endpoint. Again, we're just getting a rough idea of our cuts right now. That looks okay. And then once we add music in later, we'll be able to move these around and to get them to go with the beat of the music. So that looks good to about there. Maybe not quite as far. We'll put a blade mark there. Let's move along, see what we... So now I'm positioning the drone, looking for something to do. So that this is where I moved out. So this will be a good one. So we're going to remove all of this. Let's get rid of all that. And we're looking at the footage on the right for when I start panning, going backwards. So it starts right about there. I always like to put it so we've already started moving, so there's no pause. I think the pause doesn't look too good. That looks like a nice transition. And I was a little bit nervous here. It was super windy, like I was saying, and I really didn't want to take the drone too far. And I didn't even notice these cables at the beginning there, the overhead cables. I was probably about 10, maybe 10 to 15 feet above them, so it came out okay. So, but we'll stop that. Let's have a look. We'll keep the tilt, the gimbal tilt in there. We'll keep that in for now. And we'll cut it right before I start moving back because we don't need to see the same footage twice. So that looks good. Maybe trim this a little bit. Maybe let's go even a little, cut it a little more. There we go, that's already getting the motion, then the tree comes in pretty fast. That looks good. Now you can start seeing the water. Super nice place. I'm definitely going to go back here when the weather's nicer. I would definitely want to go with a spotter because there's lots of cables. Alright, then we're going to cut out all this. Let's see where I go next. So yeah, I want to keep this going towards the bridge and then start panning down to the bridge. So that started. There's a little tilt there, so we don't want that in the footage. So we're going to start it right here. We'll blade that. And then we can just delete that footage right there. Okay, and again, taking too long, so let's just cut that little start out. That's nice. You can see the house. Now I start tilting down, it's not too bad. Still taking me a while to remember which way to move the dial for which way the camera goes up or down, so that's okay. As soon as you go over the bridge, pretty much lose interest, so I think I'll probably stop it right there. And it's going to be option right bracket for that. Let's see where we go next. Turn it around. I go backwards. This actually might be a nicer. I wonder if this. I remember doing this now. I deliberately went backwards, thinking it might be a nicer picture, nicer video, and that's actually better right there. So let's have a look again. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually now going to delete this completely, and we'll find the starting point here where I start going backwards. See, there's some tilt in the gimbal right there, so we don't want that. So we're going to start it right here. Option arrow, and he's going back, and we're going to reverse this footage right here. So that's where I stopped. So let's blade that. Select this, and we will go to reverse clip. I'm going to cut right here. That's not bad. So let's change the endpoint a little there. It's looking good. Interesting with the overhead cables. Pretty close to the trees. Looks nice. Paused a little there. That's okay. Alright, that's fine. And let's see what's next. This footage. Yeah, this I just brought it down because I was nervous. And I take it over to the church. So we're obviously going to remove all this. This is just positioning the camera. And there's also some overhead cables here that I was a little bit nervous about. We're going to delete all this section. See what this looks like. It's a little slow, starts off slow, so we're gonna change the in point a little. That looks good. I did start going to the left a little. To the right. I did start going to the right because it's the cables were there. I was a little bit nervous. This footage isn't great. We can keep that in until about there, then it gets kind of boring. Just a big old roof. I would have liked to have been more in front of the church, but with those wires, we're kind of in the way. And also afterwards, we kind of found out that this might be someone's house, not actually a church, so I don't want to put too much footage in there. So let's option click. So that's just going to be a small clip for now. And we may not even keep it in. Then I walked over to the bridge. Trying to find my bearings. I went down the street a little, but that wasn't too exciting. And then I thought it would be nice coming back along the barrier, halfway over the barrier. So this is where I start doing it. So let's cut all this out. And going across the barrier, there's a little bit of motion there that I don't really want. I think I came backwards as well. So let's see what's the best one. Best going forward or best going back? I think the best was coming backwards. And then stop it right before I turn. So I'm going to put a blade there. And let's see how this looks in reverse as well. I think that was better. Going backwards, and we can maybe slow that down just a smidgen. Well, that's not too bad, it looks much nicer. That's okay. We can maybe do a speed ramp there a little bit later. And then I wanted to get some final footage here. It was getting really windy now. I've said that 100 times, so I want to get some nice footage from this angle. So let's put our endpoint about here. Again, that's option bracket, and that's option the square bracket on a Mac. So that, let's do that again to get rid of that dead space where I wasn't moving. There we go. Could maybe go even a little more. Maybe not quite as much. Let's just see what I actually do here. I come out and then I go over. Da 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 da. Okay, comes out. Looks good. Probably don't need all that though. That's better. And then there's a little pause. And then I started going forward and up, and I probably went up too fast, but I wanted to make sure I didn't get in the way of any overhead cables. That looks pretty cool. Let's see, we'll probably stop that once it gets to the roof. Let's blade that right there. And then I just started trying to bring it down, and I wanted it close to me. So we don't need any of this. And I take it over to the side of this building. It looked pretty cool right here, so just trying to get this into position, the starting position. So that was right at the well, and right before it moved up, so option bracket. So there'll be a transition there. Maybe went a little bit too far there. Nope. Option bracket. There we go. Pressing the H key to use the hand to move along my timeline. That's probably enough to write. right about there probably. Is there anything else there? That'll work. So option right bracket to end there. And then I zoom down the road. This was pretty cool, but just trying to keep it low again. And then this was quite a nice area right here. There was a like a bird feeder right there. So let's make this our endpoint. By this time my battery was beeping at me. I was at about 20% right now, so I wanted to keep it over the land. We're going to stop that as soon as I got to there. Let's stop that. And then I wanted to bring it over to get a nice silhouette. So this took me a couple of seconds to get the positioning right here. That was it right there. So we're going to remove all that. I think right. I'm going to just start off in the silhouette, then I was going to move upwards, I believe. So right there, make that our endpoint. I could reverse this, and when the bird feeder reaches the silhouette, sorry, I'm just thinking now I can reverse this and then fade out once it gets to the black there, and that'll be the end of the clip because I don't think there's anything else here. So let's get this to the top until it starts coming down. Now I'm starting to come down. Blade that. I think we're going to delete all this. We don't need that. Let's reverse this clip. Oh, wrong one. Reverse clip. It's too slow, too long, too long. Wait till it starts moving down. Make that my endpoint. Comes down. I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to put a marker there so I know where that is. In fact, let's go right now and let's see what this looks like. So we're at 100%. Let's put a keyframe for the opacity there. And then by the time we get to the end, we'll bring that down to 0. Let's see what that looks like. That looks okay. And we're going to put another black frame there. Make that 1 second. Just to give it a little extra minute there. Okay, so that looks good for an ending. So now let's go back to the beginning. Let's start working on some color corrections.